Greetings, hello, welcome everyone, welcome to DevChatter. If this is your first time here, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Brendan. You can see that written right below me there. This stream, of course, is DevChatter, and I would like to welcome all of you and say, if you have questions, if you are interested in chatting with us about programming things, feel free to write them in the chat room at any point during the stream. Our community here is very welcoming and open, so if you don't understand something that I'm saying, doing, or that someone else in chat says, feel free to ask about that. As I said, it is a very friendly community that we have here. I love the developers that attend our streams, well, and are generally part of our community. Speaking of which, DevChatter is more than just the live stream. In addition to that, it is also a Discord community, and I will link to that here as well. The live stream is the anchoring point where we meet and discuss and work on our projects together, but there is a lot more to our community than just this. Okay, a couple of other things. I will toss out links both to GitHub and YouTube into the chat as well, and any links that I'm toss over there are probably down below the stream as well somewhere, so hopefully you can find those. What else do I need to cover? So I'll give you a little bit of a background both on what we do here on the stream as well as what our project is that we're going to be working on today. So our stream, we usually work on project work. However, we do sometimes have one-offs, either as interviews or as like one day, like you could say like one day build kind of things where we'll do either a just a one-off thing. We've done, for example, a tutorial in customizing the Streamlabs chatbot, for example, where we built custom scripts for that. We actually did that twice. So we did 2 one-off episodes, where in each one we built a different custom thing, which was fun. We have done, so we've done some Python. We've also done streams where we do one-off coding exercises, katas, things like that. We've also had interviews with people and other stuff. So as the stream picks up again, because I did take about a year where all I was doing was the once weekly, just a little bit of coding stream. And so for those, I was not doing a lot of interviews and guests and things like that. I do want to start getting interviews and guests again now that I've got more time to stream. Okay, so what's the project we're working on today? Today we are going to be working on our Interactive 7 application. So Interactive 7, of course, is named for the fact that it is adding interactivity with Twitch chat to Final Fantasy 7. If you don't know what Final Fantasy 7 is, that's not a problem at all. I will explain. Final Fantasy 7 is more than 20-year-old game, so that's why it's entirely possible that you don't know of this. So Interactive 7 lets us control this game. This is Final Fantasy 7, and it is it's originally was a PlayStation game. So it was made for PlayStation and then was shortly after ported to PC, and then many years later they took the PC version and updated it a little bit and put it on Steam, and that's this version. So you'll notice when looking at it, it's fairly pixelated. Now that it didn't look, if you look at this from late 1990s glasses, you will know these are not that old. You will notice that this probably looked pretty good in that time. Now, there is a vibrant modding community that builds lots of cool mods for this game. They have fixed all the graphics. They have created entirely new models for all the characters. They have built new menuing systems. Like, they've gone to town on this game, like just improving what is here and making just crazy versions of it. We're not modding the game. And by that I mean we have avoided actually making any modifications to the files of the game. What we're doing is accessing its memory and messing with that. So we are just sort of just sneaking in there and saying, hey, we're just gonna tweak and make changes while you're going, which is quite fun. Greendolf, welcome to the stream. And thank you for the you actually sent me an emote, so appreciate it. 2 years of DevChatter. Why yes, Greendolf. That apparently is two years of DevChatter, and welcome. We've actually been streaming here on DevChatter for amazingly 2.5 years. We started in February, very beginning of February, like February 3rd or something like that in like 2018. So quite a long time ago. Gutierrez Dev, hello, greetings, welcome. I saw a couple of other people say hi in chat as well. So Leonardo and I thought someone else had, but I haven't seen him. Hey Rexy, welcome, and welcome Greendolf. Welcome everybody in chat. Smack in the box, welcome, greetings. Surly Dev, greetings. Welcome everyone. Okay, so I said you can control the game. Try one of these commands, and you can control the game. Hey, C-Films. So if you type in menu random, the game... oh, thanks, Surly Dev. Ahem. Yeah, I apologize for your eyes, everyone. Thanks, Surly Dev. That's a little bit better. Okay, so what you can see happening here is we are changing the colors of that menu. The really neat thing is that we're also changing the color of this, which is a stream overlay that I've got here. So this is running in my OBS, and it is displaying a separate version of that matches with it. So if a streamer wants to have some of their own like menus around the stream, they can do this. And we've built all these little pieces for them to help them out. So Gutierrez, add some colors after the word menu, and you should be able to make changes. So yeah, if you do blue, yep, just like that. And you can actually do 4 colors for the 4 corners. So if you wanted to do, for example, or you can random. Yep, random works also. Red, black, white, blue, for example. You can see that we get red up there in the top left, black in the top right, and then white and blue, and it just puts in these colors wherever it is you specify them. So you can do all kinds of neat patterns with that. And it's really neat because you can just give that control to chat, and it's like, hey, here you go. So while the player's playing the game, while they're going around through their menus, all the menus in the game are shifting and changing constantly while they're playing, whether they're just doing stuff in the menu in the game or whether they're in battle. Even if they're having conversations, all of these windows are just changing colors just based on whatever chat wants to do at any point. So the other neat thing about this is that we didn't just give them control of menu colors. We did a couple of other things as well. So the goal, one of the goals of this, aside from just making it fun for chat to see, chat's already having fun changing the colors, is that this becomes almost a way of monetizing the stream for Final Fantasy VII streamers. So I am a developer. Developers tend to get paid well enough that they generally don't worry too much about, finances on things. I mean, everybody worries about finances in some ways, but certainly developers are not worrying to the extent of like a, person that streams Final Fantasy VII or any other game for that matter on Twitch. All the little streamers, make their money from people subscribing to their stream, from cheering bits, making donations, and things like that. So what this does, and one of our big goals in building this was, okay, how do we make a program that provides entertainment to chat, and through it can, encourage chat to donate money to the streamer? Oh, very nice. Yep. It is somewhat protected against that because the game did plan on what if you made all the colors white. You can still read the text. Yeah, sorry, Pudding. There's no Pudding palette yet. Now, the interesting thing is that there are named palettes, so we did allow that. So, if you want to go with the Brendan color palette, this is well, it was there until until we got that changed. Okay, so the neat thing is we want to be able to give chat a reason to spend money. on the stream. And that is a great way to essentially fund a streamer's ability to keep streaming games they like. So we did more than just menu colors. So for example, let's say that I want to rename that character. So that character's name is currently Stool, named after like Stool Penner, but I could rename it Rex like this. And so now that character's name is Rex. Now, in this case, the way that we built this is that chat essentially, while you're running Interactive 7, any bits that are spent in chat automatically get turned into gil that the user can use, the chat user can use to spend on things. So the streamer could decide to charge to change menu colors if they want. They can also do things like bidding for I think that might tell you, but I forget what it is. Because I didn't use commands because that's what my other bot uses for commands. I can't remember what it is. I apologize about that. Maybe it's help. I don't remember. There it is. Help. Because my other one used commands. So and that's my help. I think if you run help, you get a different set of results because that's based on the commands I'm allowed to use. But I do want to show you a couple of things first off. So we did a bunch of stuff. Okay, so Smack in the Box tried Weapon, which is a really cool one. First off, I want to show you Rainbow because it's neat. When you do Rainbow, it just starts changing, and it just is going to cycle through colors for a while, so you'll just see colors constantly shifting. This looks amazing while you're playing. And yes, Smack in the Box, you figured it out. Yeah. Oh, no, you figured it because you copied exactly what it said. Yeah, so you don't have, so as I mentioned, we charge gil in order for that to happen. Does it actually restrict based on that? Armlet accessory, you probably have access to all of those. Okay, so there we go. Cloud is now equipped with a Buster Sword, which is what Smack in the Box tried to do. And yes, that is the point, that like, you'll notice that I went from having this, so look at where my cursor is up here, where it says Buster Sword. It used to say Ultima Weapon. So literally you can take a character that was equipped with the best weapon in the game and say, no, actually, I want you back with your starting weapon. And you can just do all of that. Yes, this is all done. So the ability to control all the stuff in the game is written in C#. The original game from, obviously the 90s was not written in C#. But yes, our bot that steps in, controls, and makes all these changes is written in C#. In addition to this, there are actually a number of other features that are going on that you're not seeing because I don't have them up there right now. But I can show them to you by putting this over here. So I don't keep this overlay on my stream because I'm not a Final Fantasy VII streamer. I'm a programming streamer, so we write code on here. But if you watch, when I do Rainbow, and you look over here, it says Rainbow mode started, and then it'll keep running, and then that will actually say the next thing. So, yeah, so drop is for gil. So you'd say like, drop gil 100, something like that. Or is it just drop 100? I forget how it works. Oh, that's item. Yeah. So I just dropped a potion, and you'll see that those event little messages pop up and say that as well. Oh, and Smack in the Box. For an answer to the question that you are obviously wondering right now, you tried to change the menu color, but a rainbow is currently going on. So it's going to apply your menu color change as soon as the rainbow is done. Oh, yes. Goodyear is, yes, so we are actually reading and altering the memory of the game while it is running. So yes. Yep, that's right, see? Now this is the color palette that Smack in the Box picked. Hey, Stool Penner, I just renamed Cloud, so his name is Rex. It used to be Stool. I literally just changed it, so you're slightly late for seeing your name on the stream. Sorry about that. You still have Tifa with Penner, though. You'll remember from whenever ago we were doing this, I used your name as an example. Good job, Rex. You stole that main character name from Stoolpenner. Sadly, if Stoolpenner wants to, being a mod in the channel, Stoolpenner can in fact just rename any character, however, because it doesn't really matter. Okay, so let's jump in and work on some of the code that we're planning on writing today. And I'm going to apologize now because you're going to lose control of all of the fun menu editing stuff. Let's go ahead and random it so it's something interesting. There we go. That looks good. Okay, because we're working on this program, as soon as I stop it, which I just did, Interactive 7's no longer running, so menu commands won't work. Oh, good. Their fight broke out. As I recall, the duel has now whispered to each of you. If you don't remember Rex and Stoolpenner, so you now need to pick rock, paper, or scissors in your whispers, and we'll see who wins. Yes. Okay. So, what we were you should have gotten one, Rexy. I'm not sure. In that case, the game's probably going to call you a coward or something and say that you chickened out of the duel. I don't remember. we literally wrote that little dueling game 2 years ago, so remembering exactly how it works is not something that is all that likely. Okay, so we just created these new mood betting that we were working on. We created a command called change mood, and essentially how long have we worked on Interactive 7? It's been a while. I mainly only worked on it on stream, but we started it more than a year ago, I think, smack in the box. But I was then only doing like Saturdays, and so it was like some Saturday streams I would work on it, so like for a couple of hours once a Saturday. So it's progress is not fast. It takes time. Okay, so change mood comes in. Let's see what it does. Please specify. Oh, okay. Let's give it a shot, actually. Yeah, so we started it a long time ago. The funny thing is, after I was like 6 months in and had like some work on this, another program showed up for different games and was doing this same concept. I was like, oh, cool. They went way further than I did, and they built a Twitch extension that I never got around to because I was always just building this on the side. I think some people actually started a business around this concept of adding Twitch chat interactivity to existing old games. They added it to A Link to the Past, I know. They did basically the same thing that we do. So, let's see. I want to connect Interactive 7 again, so this is it. It is here again, and I want to try change mood. RogoJS, welcome. Thanks for that follow. And just a heads up, if that JS means JavaScript, we do JavaScript on this stream on a fairly regular basis, so don't be shocked if you see it on here. Oh, hey, what is that? Object reference not sent to an instance of an object. How did I get to parse args without... Ooh, that's interesting. Okay, I see. That's funny. I messed up the code because I was thinking that I had done the validation before I did this, and I didn't. So that is my mistake. This is where we want to do this validation. So if there is no amount, then we want to return false. So we'll say if I almost feel like I want to go the other way at this point. I need to switch around this logic. We're backwards from how I want it to go. Actually, I don't need to do this check down here. If it's that or this. Whoops. That or that, then it's false. And then this becomes entirely about this section here. That's just to remove it from that one, so that's... Oh... Yeah. We're gonna back up here a second. I'm just gonna do this. If that's null, then just return false. And we just won't even worry about it. If it was that, we'll just escape early and say like, no, nothing. We didn't have it. Okay, that's silly. What would your recommendation be to learn C# and .NET Core? Okay. If you are interested in learning any language, whether it be C# or JavaScript, Java, whatever, so you need to decide for yourself how you want to learn the basics of it. Some people learn really well by reading a book. And the funny thing is, a lot of people think, how can you learn from a book? The book is not designed to actually teach you really the language that well, or at least I don't think that's the best way to approach reading a book. The advantage of reading a book is that it shows you the breadth of stuff that is available. So you can see, like, here's all of the concepts that I need to learn about this topic. If you watch videos and tutorials, they're going to teach you more focused, narrow, like, here's how you work with this thing, and they don't generally cover the full thing. So you need to watch a lot of videos to do that. There are also articles and tutorials and things like that that you can read as well. That being said, you need to choose the medium that you want to essentially obtain external information. So I would recommend that you, if you, for example, have a Pluralsight subscription through work, watch a Pluralsight video on C# to learn a good amount about the language. While you're reading the book, watching the video, or reading the tutorial, make sure that you actually have VS Code or Visual Studio, either one, your choice, running, and write some code with it. They show you cool code in the article, try it. That's really a way to, like, start getting the basics of the syntax in the language. But in the long run, what you need to do if you want to keep learning isn't just follow tutorials and watch videos and that sort of thing. Find a project. Anything. Doesn't have to be useful. Doesn't have to be big. Doesn't have to be important. Write the code. I'm not kidding. It could be something like write a chatbot for Twitch. Write some simple games. Make a program that's going to be your to-do list on your computer. You could make something that is essentially just a reminder to yourself. Maybe figure out how to do a system tray icon or add a notification into Windows. So you could say, like, hey, you know what? I pick up my kid after school to take them to take them home, maybe, or I need to remember that I need to place my grocery order on Tuesdays so I can pick it up on Wednesday, or something like that. Make yourself a reminder app. that literally all it does is just pop notifications into your like Windows feed. So like while you're at work, you see that. It doesn't matter what the program is. It can be anything. Just write something. And if you want yourself to be motivated to do it, either make it something that's fun and interesting, like a game or interactive something or other, or you can do something that is useful to yourself. So that's the main goal that you wanna shoot for. There is try to do something that is going to encourage you to keep working on it. Hopefully that gets your question for how you should approach that pretty well. Hey Swoog, I'm starting up Interactive 7 again, so you can mess with that again. And yes, smack in the box is correct. Start small. That's why I said a simple thing like it just reminds you to pick up your kid. It doesn't do anything else. You don't have to have a full to-do system. You don't have to have full reminders, configuration, anything like that. Nope. It just checks what time of day it is and says, oh, like, that's all you need to do. Swoog, yes, you are wondering if that is the new mood stuff. Yes, this is the moods that we're looking at now. You can control menu colors now if you like. Okay, so Rogo, you had a question. What kind of glasses are those? You like the frames? I also am a big fan of these frames. They're just some cheap, like, Zenny glasses or something like that. That's just a website that sells glasses. I got them a couple of years ago. I'm actually probably going to get new ones. I wouldn't mind something similar to this again, because I do really like this style. I think it looks nice. Also, I like the fact that there's a little bit of color on them, but then, you know, not in the front. So I like the fact that it's like, yeah, there's a little bit of color, but it's not like color. So works out pretty well. First thing you should decide on is the program. Okay, so Surly Dev, you started tackling a completely different question, which is another question that I think I'm going to talk, that I want to take a couple of seconds and talk about, because I know that there are some beginner programmers in here, and even the programmers that are not beginner programmers, you are going to have friends, family that are interested in learning to program, and this is 100% the first question you ask someone before they decide on a language. What do you want to do with programming? Welcome, Jamie. Welcome to the stream. So the idea with asking them what they want to do is it really defines essentially like what programming language you should pick. If someone says to me, hey, I really want to make video games, then Swift and Objective-C are not the answer unless they said, I want to make video games for my iOS device. I'm probably, if someone says, I want to make video games, I'm going to say, okay, you want to make like AAA titles from, you know, like for a big company, or you want to make casual games yourself? If they say big AAA games, I'm going to say, okay, you're going to definitely want to learn C++, and you might learn some other related languages and libraries and things like that, but that's the direction you're going to want to start learning. If you say, I'm going to make casual games, I might say something like, well, why don't you take a look, we'll have you learn C# and you can learn Unity and do that. If they say they just want to make like web applications and things like that, okay, I'll probably say, well, you're going to want to learn JavaScript, you're going to want to learn HTML, and depending, you may also need to know CSS, but not necessarily, depending on where you want to do, because it depends on what they mean with like web applications. But then you need to pick a backend framework. So they could choose something like C#, they could choose PHP, they could choose Java, they could choose Node. There's a lot of options, and when I say Node, I actually mean JavaScript, but Node is the framework that lets them use the JavaScript on the server side. So there are a lot of options, and I know that I said a lot of stuff, so if any of those words you didn't know the language or framework or something, that's not a big deal. The point is that if you are interested in that, so if you're interested in learning something, talk with whoever your programmer friends are, and or me. I will answer this question as well. If you say, here's what I want to do, here's my goal, this is what I want to build. If you just want to get a job programming and you just want to work for businesses, there are 1,000 correct answers to that question, and you could learn any one of them. And at that point, it becomes more a question of, well, where do you live? Because right now, even though remote is becoming more common, if you want to be able to get a job locally and work in an office with a local team, you need to find out what is common in your area. There are certain places in the world where C# is very common, some where Java, some where PHP. It just depends on where you are and what type of business you want to work for. Also, language choice is going to depend on is also going to vary the culture of the company you're going to work for. For example, you can learn the many decades old languages and go still find jobs. There are a lot of COBOL programs still running, and that is like, 50, 60-year-old programs that's like, it's like, yes, you can go work on those. They still exist and still need to be maintained. So whatever you want to do. Yes, Xamarin is absolutely. If someone wants to build mobile apps, they want to build for phones, they could learn Xamarin. They could learn Java to be able to write for an Android. They could learn C++. They could learn Swift. They could learn Objective-C. They could learn JavaScript and do essentially the hybrid app. It really depends. There are a lot of answers in a lot of different places. A common one is games, which is why I say if you are interested in games, one of the easiest. Sorry. Let me rephrase. One of the most approachable and yet still like professional caliber choices you can make is C# and Unity. Yes, accessible, that is probably a good word for it. Unity is absolutely a good choice for getting into programming games. You started with Java and then C# and Unity, then Python, then back to C# and Unity. Yes, exactly. That's why I say if someone says that they want to build games, one of the answers I'll tell them is C# and Unity. It is absolutely just a good choice because, well, I mean, if you go hit Google and just ask it for like what games on Steam are written in C#, and you'll be like, oh wow, actually, like, I forget some of the new games that are like one person built games, or like small team built games are built in Unity with C#, and you would be shocked at how popular some of the C# Unity games are out there. It's really neat stuff. Okay, all the Assassin's Creed games are made with Unity. Yep, that's why I said if you're going to go AAA company, I'm going to steer you towards either like C++, because there are plenty of companies that are still building them with the engines that are going to be using that. And I think that's probably still the majority for the AAA titles, but there are AAA titles, again, like Assassin's Creed, that are still using Unity, which is why C# is the secondary that I would steer you towards if you want to do games. So for AAA companies, if you're doing casual, I'm not going to steer you towards C++. I'm going to steer you towards Unity and C#. Okay, so let's jump into this because we are building ours in C#. We're just using WPF, so we're not graphics related or anything like that. We're not doing game stuff, so it's not Unity. Yes, exactly. The Naked Flame. Yep, the most popular for indie games right now are C# and Unity. Or yes, or like Mono Games or something like that also has some people behind it. Hey, Spud, welcome, greetings. You meant to say that, Spud. And yes, I'm going to call you Spud, as well as every other one of the people that named themselves Spud. Because you all went with Spud, none of you get your own unique names anymore. You're all just Spud. Hey, Swoog. Dude, Swoog, if you want to learn programming, feel free to hop on the stream sometime. I will teach you how to code. That's fine. We can do Hello World and stuff. Yes, exactly. Another potato reporting in. Okay. So let's see if this works. Change mood. It should yell at us. Please specify a mood name and an amount to bid. Okay, so change mood. Which I actually think I can just say mood. Does this work also? Nope. I didn't program in multiple options. So change mood. Let's see. Does it get? Please specify mood name. Okay. Did it get it? I don't know if that got it. That might have gotten it because we got no response back. How can I check that right now? So we don't display it right now because nothing will have changed. It should have just accepted that bid and totaled it. We don't trigger a new mood based on this. Explanation for chat. I should explain what we are building. So while you're playing Final Fantasy VII, if chat decides to change the mood of the game, we are going to either ramp up or ramp down the difficulty. So that's the current versions of the moods. There's danger mode and peaceful mood. In peaceful mood, the streamer should be totally fine and shouldn't have like any chance of dying. In danger mood, they're going to absolutely get wrecked. Fitzy Codes Things, welcome to the stream. So the goal is that chat then gets to vote, like, what's the next mood going to be? Is it going to be normal, where it's just regular, there's no changes, or is it going to get harder or easier? Yeah, so I don't know whether it's going to be better or worse. We'll find out. Okay, so let me toss this in here. I just want to find out what is going to happen when we do this. So change mood, 1 piece. Okay, so the mood ID we chose is 2. That's peaceful. And the bid should have a bid record. So that is my username, my user ID, and the number of bits that I put in, which is 1. And we're going to say to add this record to that bid. And if we step in here, it should get us in here. There is our lock. And it should add the bid record to the bids and increase the total. So at this point, the current leading bid, if I call this method, should still come back as 0. 1. Really? Oh, maybe I have the numbers wrong. What's danger? 3. Never mind. 1 is correct, not 0. 0 is not valid. So normal is 1, peaceful is 2, and danger is 3. Apparently is what I went with. Always dangerous, yes. Well, Deedman, it's not always going to be dangerous because right now we have danger, peaceful, and normal, but we're planning on having other ones, which I've tested out the code for to confirm that I can make work. But I think you might also be a fan of, quote, going nowhere, which is essentially combats are so frequent that the streamer can barely move anywhere. I think you might find that one fun. You also may like such interesting things as no rewards, where we remove all rewards from combat. There's no XP, there's no AP, there's no items, there's no gil, you get no benefit. So you fight all these combats and get nothing back. Nothing. So it is in fact, yes, where are the nice commands? Swoog, we'll build nice commands too. That's what peaceful is. Peaceful's a nice command. But then we'll also build some nice ones. Yeah. Strife, I only make the commands. Chat's the one that chooses to use them. But the idea is that you can do some other ones. Like, we could make one where, like, the rewards go up, for example. Or all enemies, drop things that are a tier higher. So, for example, if you don't like going nowhere, we'll make that so you could disable that one, for example. Commands don't kill streamers, Twitch does. Exactly, Fuel Snable, that's right. Yes, exactly. I'm not the monster, I'm the mad scientist who creates the monster. My name is Dr. Frankenstein. The monster is not called Frankenstein, that's just the monster. And by that I mean Interactive 7. Don't laugh and drink, it's a bad idea. Okay, so let's try change mood, peace. Okay, so what that should have done is at this point, if I run this command again, and I just catch myself anywhere in here, not in danger mood, but in the mood bidding, I should be able to tell what the top one is when... Oh, here it is. There we go. So the next time I come in here, yeah, Cowboy Bebop. That probably won't come in. But if I do that, it should specify... So, smack in the box. For some of the chat commands, while I'm building them, we do have them restricted so that, like, only mods, for example, can run them if we think that things are going to get weird. But for stuff that we build that doesn't have strange effects, if people triggered them, we do open them to everyone. So like menu colors, for example, were always just open to everyone the whole time. That is really nasty, Swoog. Okay, so if I come in here, that color, by the way, just looks awful. Wait, what? Why do I have a second one in here? Oh, because I didn't actually run this. Yeah, so the top mood is now 2. Lime green's not actually bad. The bad one is not lime green. It's lime. It's this one. That's so much brighter. It's terrible. Okay, so at this point, our bidding system works. So the bids are definitely coming in here. We can see them totaling up and sort of stepping in and changing these values. So let's do this. Let's make another command. We're gonna make one more command. We're gonna make a moods command, and I'm gonna change the menu color before I turn off Interactive 7 so that chat can't mess with it. Ha ha ha. All right. Let's go make one more command. We need some way for chat to be able to tell what the current bids are in case the streamer doesn't have the overlay. So we're planning on having a moods overlay that will show essentially what the moods currently are. Swoog, if you're going to set up Interactive 7, what you need to do is essentially copy all the config files, and that is going to be all of the... I think I called them I think they're all .json files, but let me confirm that real fast. Did I run this one? Yes. So it's going to be all the .json files, .json. Basically, copy all those over into the new one. The thing that's going to throw you off is that you'll need to get a new set of Twitch settings. So essentially, run Interactive 7. Tell it to save the settings once you do that after you've had it load them. So like copy them over, run Interactive 7, and then you're going to want to save your settings, which should write them. Hopefully that deletes your Twitch information and then re-authenticate your bot with Twitch. And the reason why is that I moved the Twitch settings, which should make it easier for you and others both to save and or share your general bot settings. So, yeah. The reason you're saving it is actually so it deletes your current ones. I think it will delete it. Okay, sounds good. Good luck getting it working. Oh, and this is the restriction I was talking about. Can run this command is restricted to DevChatter, me, or the mod. So that's so whoever the broadcaster is, if it's me, or is me. So DevChatter. Me means the bot's account, whatever account the bot is logged in as, or a moderator in the channel. So that's usually what I restrict to when I want to make a command that like chat is not messing with while we're building it. I do that. Some of them are slightly broken, so like, and by broken I mean chat can control status effects of enemies in this, and until I rein in how that works and when they can and what statuses and stuff they can use, it's really broken. And by broken I mean way overpowered. So it's nuts. Yes, Swoog. All you have to do is if you know the there is a status. Yes, exactly. Peerless, a guard scorpion, or anything like that. There's a status in the game that basically makes your characters invincible for a period of time. It is a status effect only triggered by one character's limit break. It's very, very special circumstance in the game. If you can just give that to any enemy, done. Players are screwed. They will not survive that. And see, like, a player of the game is just thinking about this, like, oh yes, yep, you fight whatever enemy you want, and chat can just be like, oh, I'm just gonna haste him and peerless him, and you're done. Like, there's so many enemies where that would just wreck you, and in a really funny way too, because you're like, well, I'm screwed. Yes, stuff of nightmares, exactly. All right, so we're gonna move this. So the way that we make commands is we make a new class that inherits from our base command class. So I'm making mood bids. And mood bids is going to do a couple of things. This one is essentially how chat can check the current state of bidding for moods. So we're going to take in the same mood bidding object that one has, a Twitch client, and I don't know if we'll take the list of moods just in case so we can give back a friendly name. So we'll do I think we need this for the friendly name, because I don't think that I think in the mood bidding I only kept the ID, and so because of that we're going to want this to get the correct names. So this is not change mood command words. This is and this is enabled if mood bids are enabled. Okay. Jump back over here. Whoops. We're going to jump in and make a duplicate of this. And this is going to be that. Like that. Remove all duplicates from that and that. Okay. So now when we go up, this is a hilarious file. Change mood commands words is right here. That. And essentially this is our class that is like the back end for our settings view almost. And the idea with it is that when someone changes settings in here, we just essentially, so the streamer can change the names of any commands they want. So if, for example, if I made my commands, like named commands, as someone in chat guessed, and a streamer said, you know, they did help, so I made mine help because the other bot that we run sometimes uses commands as the one for that, so we did help. But someone might be like, well, help does this in my chat, and commands does this in my chat. So they could, for example, make theirs be i7 help, or something like that. So streamer gets access to change names however they like. These are the default values. Now the funny thing about this is I kind of want to make mood be another default in that one. So we'll have that be mood, and then this one will be mood bids. And mood bidding, maybe? I don't know exactly what someone's going to guess for that, but I try to guess what people are going to type to find it, and put those in as the defaults where I can. In a couple of places I was nice and I did like, there's costs, and I did all the plurals for it. For some of the characters, I did misspellings of their names. And I forget if I know for like menu color and things like that. Did I know I did menu color? Jay, welcome. Thanks for that follow. I know in some spots I was nice and handled British spellings for stuff. Because I was like, yeah, US English, UK English, we don't spell things the same way all the time. So I know I have a couple of spots in there where I tweak to adjust to the UK spelling of stuff. But I know I didn't do it everywhere. So that being said, I let the streamer change any commands they like. So if you are going to type color with a U, congratulations, you can type color with a U and and make that your command. I'd recommend you support both. If you're gonna do that, because it might be weird if you didn't, but sure. The main command is menu anyway, not color, so hence probably why I didn't worry about putting that into the default. Not change menu, mood bids command. Okay, so what do we want to do with this? There are no arguments to this command. We just want to say what the current moods are, right? We're just going to spit them back out. Right? And in fact, I don't know if I'm going to restrict this command. I think I might just respond back with what the current state of things is. So, mood bidding. The mood bids select how do we want to do this? It's like x dot. Yeah, I don't have the name at this point. Okay. So I'll take the mood bids, and we're gonna get complicated. We're gonna do a join, everyone. Islamco87, welcome. Thanks for that follow, much appreciated. Sorry, Swoog, I think the bot's off right now, so you can't do that. We're gonna say underscore moods, so we're gonna take the current set of bids, and we're gonna join with the moods, and we're gonna join it by the outer selector. So this is bid.moodID, and the inner selector is going to be the mood, so it's m.id. So we're going to join these two lists together, and then I want a selector on it, so I'm going to have the bid and the mood. And what are we going to do? Swoog, feel free to hang out, man. We want to say, at this point, we're gonna spit it out as a string. Whoops, $sign on the outside, Brendan. So we're gonna use some string interpolation, and we are gonna write the mood name, I guess. So mood.name, and I guess the current bid. So bid.total. Right, var bid totals. So we'll call that the bid totals, and this should be a list. This should be an enumerable of string. It is. So what we want to do is this. We want to say message equals string.join with a comma and a space, bid totals, but we are going to do this first. We're going to say current bids and we're going to say that. Okay. We don't need to parse any strings. We don't need to can run this command. We don't need any of this stuff. This command is much simpler than our other ones. So we're going to say Twitch client send message into command data.channel. We're going to send out our message. And that is all we need to do for this. And then I'm going to take this command, go over to our change mood command, and jump into the registry of Twitch commands. Put that in there. All right, let's check it. Let's see what happens. Okay, sounds good, Swoog. Let me know how setting up a FF7 goes. Hopefully well. Okay, so here is Interactive 7. We're going to connect it to chat. Let's see what it says when I do mood bids. Current bids, normal mood, 500, danger mood 0, peaceful mood 0. Did I make mood work? Whoops, I left a breakpoint there. Okay. Okay. That seems to work. Mood, danger 1,000. So mood bids should come back with that. Okay, so looks like that's working. What project template did you use to start building the GUI from? Naked Flame. This is a WPF application. It's a .NET Core 3.1 WPF app. So this is the so from .NET Core 3 on, you were able to build WPF apps using .NET Core. So that is what this is. So essentially, this is like this is the early release version stuff of this. We were originally running it on the pre-release bits and have brought it up to 3.1. If you're wondering about the framework we're using for styling the essentially UI here, we are using a framework of tools, and it is spelled like this. So this is the framework that we are using for styling our application. I just chose it because it's fun and interesting, and I was like, yeah, why not? It's cool. So we grabbed basically this, which is like an open source .NET Foundation project for essentially styling WPF applications. So we also have theming as part of that. So I can choose to change the accent colors, for example, and yay, you have some control over that. Okay, so looks like the mood bidding generally works. We can total them up. We now need to make it so that there's a couple of ways that we could have this work. My first thought is, before a mood has been triggered at all to happen, we might set it so that so we can either go that, like, when the streamer starts moods running, Interactive 7 running, for example, we could say after 5 minutes, for example, we take whatever the leading bid is and apply that mood to the game. And then during the next 5 minutes or something, streamer configured, during that next 5 minutes, chat can essentially bid to decide what the next mood is going to be. And we are always giving default starting value to normal. So essentially the idea is, if chat doesn't at least put, a streamer configured amount for what the normal is, the game will go back to normal. So chat can't just say, like, put in 1 penny and say, here's what it is, right? Sorry for asking the same question. The message got lost in chat. If you no problem, Naked Flame. Yes, if I missed your question, no big deal. Feel free to ask again. I wonder how long ago I missed that question. Oh yeah, you did ask it multiple times. That's awesome. Yep. Yeah. Jen's Duck, welcome back to the stream. I think Jen knows what I'm doing. Quack quack. Welcome to the stream. Yes, I am a fan of I am a fan of the ducks. Yeah. Quack quack. That being said, yes, exactly. Who doesn't like ducks? How do you not like ducks? They're quacktastic. Okay, so mood bidding seems to work, but I want to get a response, because the one thing that was weird is I would type in the bid and then it never really confirmed that it accepted it. So it's hard to say, did I do it right, or did it just not recognize it, or was I not allowed to do it, or what was the deal? So this is only temporarily turned off, which is why I don't have a friendly message about like mods only kind of thing, because it's not like permanently mods only. That's like, I'm just shutting it down because we're building the feature. But I do want to afterwards say to Twitch client, send a message, command data dot channel. That was funny. I can't type today. All right. Recorded. Let's see. Bid for ooh, add bid could return the total, couldn't it? And then we could just report that back. Added to mood. Whoops. How did I grab their mood? It's just mood single ID. I didn't like actually grab it before this point. All right, I'm gonna grab it. That's the mood. Mood.name. Added that to mood.name. New total is whatever that is. Total equals that. Total. Let's adjust this to return back the amount. Return that. So now this needs to return the amount as well. If I return out of here, it will still close that. So return the total bits. So that means that can't have changed while we were in here. So set that as a return value, unlock the lock, and get us out of here. And that should make it so that when we call this, it will tell us for total that. Added that to that for total that. Okay. Pete Smells, welcome to the stream. Glad you're here. Didn't know you were one of the people that hadn't followed us yet, but I'm glad you made it. Jen's Duck, what do you stream? I now want to find out. I see that those look like Jen's Duck emotes. And I now want to know what you stream on Twitch, because you clearly have emotes. I am now a legal state certified drug seller. I am hoping that means that you work in a pharmacy, but that could mean other things as well. It's just a funny phrasing. It's really good phrasing, by the way. State certified drug seller. Why not? Okay. Chat was trying to use chat commands. Jen's Duck, if you want to use your chat command to change the color of that menu again, feel free. You are now able to do so as this is back. Mood Danger 1 for a total of 1. Mood Danger lot. Yes! There we go. Mood bids. Thanks, Swoog. Luckily it's small, so that's not going to kill me. Yeah, danger up to 100,000. On the positive side, Swoog, if someone did put that, I mean, that is like $1,000 to throw you into danger mode. That's really not a bad deal. Like, I don't think you'd complain about that. I think you would willingly die for in the game, die in the game for $1,000. I don't think you'd have any problem with that. Yes, exactly. It's hard to complain. You have, Swoog, many times. You've died for Only $10 in the game. Yeah. Why not, though? It's the whole point is having fun. If chat had fun killing you and you had, and you know, it's like, it doesn't matter. Like, that's part of the point. Okay, so I noticed that I put these in order, so like I did normal, danger, and peaceful, but I should probably put them in order of bids, and number them even, I think. Yeah, let's change that. We're gonna put them in order and number them. So congratulations, chat. We're gonna learn how to fiddle some strings again into some nice arrangements. So what I did to print out the totals is a little bit tricky. I'm gonna explain a little bit because some people might have missed it. I took the current I took the current bids. So this is someone has bid for a certain mood to be chosen. I took that and I joined on essentially the model object for the mood, which has its name and an ID. This has a total number of bits that have been bid for that mood, as well as the mood itself, but just its ID. So I took this and I said join it against the moods and use the mood ID from the bid and the ID from the mood as the keys. So it's going to map those together. So it's going to take, you know, one of each and just essentially line them up. And then it's going to call this for each one of those pairings where I have both access to the bid and the mood. And I told it take the name and the number of bits and use those. Okay, so that's the way that the join worked that I did here. I need to look at something on this to see, will it give me the int? And the answer is no, it will not. So I am going to change how I do this like this. I am going to say, whoops. I am going to say right here, bid mood. Done. Stop harassing the menu. To be honest, there's really good stuff with the menu. I'm a big fan of Mako, to be honest, or Mako if you say it that way. Well, oh, did I stop? Oh, I stopped the bot. I stopped the bot. I tricked myself on that one. Okay, so when we have this, I've created a tuple here. Right up in that spot there. I should make this code bigger. What was I doing? Once I have those, these are the bid these are the like the bid totals essentially. I want to say bid totals.select, and here is the trick. If you look at these options here, it's kind of hard to see because IntelliSense I can't make that much bigger, but it has two options. The first option, up here on the top, is that I take a function that accepts my object and returns a result, or, alternately inside of select, there's this one. I take in a function that accepts the object, an integer, and returns the result. That's the one I'm going to use for this. So, I am going to say pair, and then I'm going to say I oops, that one. This is going to be pair.mood.name, pair.bid.total bits, but then before that, I can then do this. I can put at the beginning my I, and I can essentially now put a number on it. So I've said number, name, total. And at this point, someone in chat ought to be going, wait, that's going to start at 0. Yep, that's going to start at 0. So I plus 1. So we're going to say number 1 is that, and with that value. And number 2 is this with this value. And that's essentially how we're going to put all these little pairings together. So, the other thing I need to do here is this. Order by descending, because we need to make sure that we get this ordered the way that we want. So we're going to say order by the bid total descending. Now, if you're wondering why I'm getting blue squiggly lines, that's because of the fact that I have not... There's two issues that I've got here that it's yelling me about. Number one, I have not saved this to a variable, so this code I'm doing here isn't really happening, so that's what it's yelling at me about on the select here. That's why there's a blue squiggly line. And then on the bid totals, it's yelling at me because essentially, I have run this code multiple times, and just because of some weirdness in the way C# works. So, what you want to do is this. Save this into a variable. We'll call this bid messages. Save it like that. And then this goes right here. And yay, all the squigglies are gone. Yes, DevChatter is Brandonius. That's why it says Brandonius right there, right here. Yes, my name is Brendan, and that guy in chat that I keep calling Swig, his name is Swiggy. Swoog, you can't use a controller. That's true. This is I7. I'd like to inform you you have no idea what's happening, but you're enjoying it. I'm glad you're enjoying the stream. To answer, I streamed the Binding of Isaac, the Far Cry series, Saints Row. You were gonna stream your programming. Oh, that sounds fun, Jen. Well, yeah, feel free to join my stream. And if you do stream, let me know. If you end up streaming programming too. But yes, those are awesome games. C# is weird, but I still love both DevChatter and C#. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. And yes, happy weekend. Hopefully everybody is having a good weekend. It is a nice Saturday. We've had lots of summer showers where I am, but it's not bad. Let's give this command a try and see what we get. Wineball, well. Welcome to the stream. Vodka is talking. Oh, that's good. Hopefully you are east of me and not west of me, so that it is like evening and not like morning. But whatever. Hang on, Jen's duck. Gotta wait until I click the connect button. Okay, try it now. Now Interactive 7's live. So feel free to change this horrifying color. C# is weird, Wheatlol. And yes, exactly. You can do a lot of neat stuff with a lot of programming language. C# is one of the ones that had... This is a good thing and a bad thing about C# in a handful of ways. C# is an interesting language because of the fact that it is constantly being improved. You meant just rainbow, no menu, Swig. What that means is that C# is a language that is constantly getting attention, getting fixes, getting changes, and improved over time. So while C# is a, roughly speaking, 20-year-old language, it is a 20-year-old language that has a lot of features that really fit in well with with modern programming concepts. So programming has changed a lot in the past 20 years. We have advanced a lot of the ways that we think about things, so that's one of the reasons why people are noticing a lot of functional concepts appearing in C#. That is because functional programming and other things like it are becoming more popular. And it's not just, popular for the sake of popularity, it's becoming popular because they're valuable. And so those concepts are coming into the language and changing it. Now, you ask, wait a minute, Brendan, you said that was a good thing and a bad thing. Yes, I did. So one of the great things about Unity, for example, that we talked about earlier in the stream as an entry point for people to get into game programming, is that C# and Unity is a little bit more accessible and a little bit more approachable than some of the other options. E. Johnson, welcome. Thanks for that stream. Much appreciated. And so... And yes, exactly. Yes, 20 years is fairly young as far as a programming language is concerned. There are a lot of languages much older than that. And so the programming language, C# is a mature programming language at this point that I would say. It has gotten a lot of change. It really has a lot of the things that you need in order to succeed with it. There are a few things that it is missing at this point. But what makes it a little bit more challenging right now is the fact that they have made so many different ways of doing things. And that is what makes some people shy away from C#. In C#, you do not need to know every way of doing every different task. So while I solved our little problem of making this string by doing a link join, for example, which again, that in itself is like 10 years old in the language, you do not have to do it that way. You can do it a lot of other ways as well. So for example, someone might decide, I can just use a loop and just tie them together and like no big deal, right? Like just loop through them, just nested loop, right? It should be fine. Totally possible. You can absolutely solve it that way. You can solve it with you can solve it with for each loops, with for loops, with where loops. You could use other things in link. You could be finding them just based on like doing a link single, for example. You could match them up with a link where. How do you want to do it? Doesn't matter. When we talk about all these pieces, all right. Let me show you an absurdity. I'm gonna show you something ridiculous. Let me change the menu color real fast though, just so it's a little nicer. So this is Mako mode, by the way. This is my favorite of our color like animations. If you look really closely, this is what I like about it. Is it's subtle. The green glow is moving just a little bit. This isn't the crazy thing. This is just fun with the little bit of animation we did. Is you almost don't notice that it's moving, and then you're like, wait a minute, that menu color's animating. Yeah, it is. Which I like about it, because it's like no, it's just subtle. Like you can just see it. Yeah, it's super nice. Anyway, the thing I was going to show you. Let's look at horribleness. Here we go. This is crazy. So I will show you what is possible and ridiculous in C#. I should just preface this with don't do this. Any other programmers that work with your code will shoot you for doing this. Okay, so what I am doing here is something called tuple construction and deconstruction. And this lets me write this line of code instead of these 3 lines of code. So first off, the thing that's bizarre about that is what I've actually done is I took these 3 parameters that are coming in as variables and I constructed them into this tuple right here. So essentially I have made a tuple object that contains these 3 values. Then, because I assign it into essentially what looks like another tuple declaration here, what that does is this deconstructs the tuple into these separate pieces. So it's going to take the first value here, assign it into this one, the second value into that one, and the third value into that one. Okay, we haven't gotten to the other crazy yet, because I can then get rid of this, make that an expression body, and the code has not technically changed, really, in the scheme of things. I'm doing the exact same code, but it looks like that pile of garbage now. Like, where some developer is going to smack me because it's bad enough. It's like, okay, yes, I've got these little lambda expressions here passing in to my base type, and then I'm doing another into this, and it's just like, why? No reason, because we could for this. So no, we're not going to keep the code this way. I just wanted to show you the absurdity that, like, well, here, let me put that back. That's the same code right here. This is way more readable. No one's going to smack me for this. The other one, they might. Okay, yes, so Fuel Snable. Yes, but that's the point. That's the point, Fuel Snable. The problem is not that that's possible, it's that these two ways of doing it are both in C#, and that's what I would say is one of the negatives of C#. So it's that's why I said negatives and positives. I'm used to tuples from other languages. I used them a lot in Python before I switched to C#. In fact, I missed them a lot, and Lambda expressions, when I got to C#. Now C# has both Lambda expressions and tuples, and they're pretty good implementations of them. So, as someone that used to program in Python a long time ago, I'm a big fan of that. Exactly, yes, C# is multi-paradigm at this point. So, the other thing about this is that while that is nice for some of us, that makes it a more difficult language to step into, because that means someone has to both be able to read this code as well as this code. They need to be able to expect either of these to be in here and handle it. So for a new programmer, it is weirder that there are so many different ways of achieving the same thing, because they're going to have to understand all the different syntaxes of all this stuff. Now, I consider that to be, once you know the language, a good thing, because there are so many great ways of writing stuff that where it makes sense to do that, you do that. So, the example that I always give someone is, if you are taking in like coordinates, like an X and a Y coordinate, and you want to pair them up like that so people can see the X and the Y are related, and you want to just do a construction deconstruction, sure, go for it. Why not? Write it. That looks great. Looks totally fine. And maybe even one of the parameters was a tuple, because the previous place where you had that like coordinate pair, like the X and the Y, sure, yeah, you can use a tuple for that. You do not need to create a, coordinate pair or coordinates class or struct or anything like that if you don't want to. You can absolutely use a value tuple for that. X and Y are just so generic, and if they are just integers, int as a tuple, it doesn't even take up much space. So like, it's not messy code. It's easy to read and easy to understand, and people get the relationship as well. Yes, exactly. Fuel Snable. You wouldn't type it like that, but you don't mind it. Yes, exactly. And yes, Wheatlaw, you're absolutely right. That's why I use the example of like doing an XY and maybe even XYZ you could get away with, but I wouldn't go beyond that, because it starts to get really messy when you're doing the tuple deconstruction. So it's just for legibility. Yes, exactly, Strife. It was going to do pretty much the same thing. The other might spank us, especially pairing with new stat. Yes, exactly. Yep. Exactly, yes. It's that other programmers are going to have trouble reading. Hey, Brain, welcome. Menu decode. Yes, there are a lot of weird things you could put in there, Jen. Let's see. Old C# is also not an easy language. Yes! No, Wheatlaw's totally right. Early C#, think pre C#, I forget which version, whichever one came out in 2005 with .NET 2. Before that, C# is nasty. Before C# had generics, it is a completely different language. Completely different. Was it C# 2? I couldn't remember if the numbers were still lined up then. Either way, yes, that's the one. Long ago, back as soon as they got generics, it was like, okay, C# is usable now. Yes, the days of array list. Yeah, so, yep. Wow. Fuel Snable, yeah, I don't want to go back to pre-generics. And that's the thing, Fuel Snable, as far as I know, isn't Java still doing, isn't their underlying implementation type erasure? I thought it was type erasure underneath. PHP pre-frameworks? Okay. I'm just going to come out here and say this. The current state of programming language is phenomenally better than it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Look across the board at our programming languages, because the versions of C++ that exist today are better than the ones that were in the past. The versions of C# that exist today are better than the ones that were in the past. The versions of all of these are just much better. The programming languages in general, you want to work with, in my opinion, and some people disagree with me on this one, I think it is a good idea to work with a programming language that is changing and evolving and getting better over time. And yes, Elven Slayers, I would agree with. Even 5 years ago, our languages have gotten much better even over the course of 5 years. That does not mean that every language has gotten better, but the state of languages as a whole has gotten better. We have gotten new great languages. Look at all the people that absolutely love TypeScript. The TypeScript people that are out there are thrilled by that language's existence. Again, we were talking about Go. Tons of people love Go, and that's why we've gotten to such a better place. That, by that same token, that does not mean that that languages in the past were bad. Like, for their time, they were probably great. It's that we've gone past that. So if you're using a language that is getting a lot of good changes coming into it and has either a community or just an organization behind it that's building it and advancing it and making good progress for it, that's what you want to do. So that's one of the reasons why, for example, C++, keeps doing, like, it stays relevant and usable because of the fact that it is always changing. It is always getting better. So all of these things. Yes. That being said, I think Fuel Snable's hitting on another good point, which is there have been languages and frameworks in the past that even by today's standards would be very good, but have gone out of favor for one reason or another. Usually it is just that they were either obscure to begin with, or their obscurity increased for one or another reason, and they're not very popular today. So there are a lot of programming languages that have kind of disappeared, and some of them even make resurgences. Like Erlang has had in the past, like, I don't know, decade, really come back surprisingly. Like, it's one of those, like, wait, Erlang came back? Like, yeah, its popularity increased in the past 10 years, and you see that showing up again. So and rightfully, it is a fantastic language, and the stuff you see that people do with it, it's amazing. It's really cool stuff. J Steph, welcome, greetings. University still teaches. Yes, you are correct there. There are a lot of universities that are still teaching really, really old old languages, old ways of programming. Yes, exactly, Fuel Snable. Yep, you are correct. So I had a good friend of mine that I've worked with in a couple of companies that went and started working for a company that uses Erlang 6-7 years ago, something like that. So yes. And yes, COBOL is also has made a small comeback in some organizations. And I think one of the reasons why COBOL's making a comeback at all is actually just that there is need for new programmers to replace the retiring programmers that maintaining existing programs in COBOL. And so it's like, oh yes, we need some new people to learn these. So people took a look at it, and I think that's what causes some of the resurgence of some of them, is when it's like, yes, you kept things running in COBOL that long, and your programmers that know how it works are retiring, huh? well, we better train some people to replace them, or no one will be able to run these. Okay, let's go ahead and run this. I think our new version of this is going to run okay. V-Elite, welcome. Thanks for that follow. Much appreciated. Welcome to the stream. You're waiting for the day when there are no VB6 devs left, and you're going to... There you go, Surly Dev. Yes. So some of the people actually... yeah, so there are people right now that program in some of those older languages, and you're right. Depending on how well you can negotiate it and whether the companies can afford it, you can make good money working in some of those more obscure languages. Exactly, as Fuel Snable mentions, there are companies that have demand for people that can program in some of those old languages, and in some ways, being even relatively younger than the developers that are currently programming in it can also help out with that. Yes. So one of the funny things, Fuel Snable, is I know some companies that went through the transition of completely getting off of all the old tech and rewriting all of their software, and then they get like a new manager that comes in and is like, "What? Why are we on all this new stuff?" And they move the companies back to the old mainframe stuff, and it's like, wait a minute. Your company literally just spent massive amounts of money migrating to newer technologies so that they could be, more prepared for change in the future, and you're taking them back? What did you do? And yes, Wheatlaw's... I love Wheatlaw's question. It's like, yeah, the of course I agree with, but there are a lot of reasons why those migrations off of the old languages and technology fail. If you're in the last 10 to 15 years of your working life, why not work in an older technology and make it? You absolutely can, Surly Dev. Plenty of people are also good with just switching to the newer ones for that. It's whatever you want to do, really. Yeah, there you go, Fuel Snable. You hit all the answers there. Mood bids, current bid, normal, danger, peaceful. And they list them by number. So, mood, danger, 5. Mood bids. Mood, P. Yep, that looks like it's working. So... probably Swoog. Let me have a look. Settings. Wealth. Weapons. Armlets. Accessories. Gill. Gold saucer. Oh yeah, Swoog. There are commands. There are commands for giving and removing GP even. There are commands for giving and removing Gill from the player. There are commands for items, commands for materia, and you can customize the cost both to be given the item as well as to have it taken away. So you can set higher costs for them to steal your materia from you. and yes, so yeah, apparently I did that at some point. So yep, absolutely. There's lots of good stuff. Yeah, that's been in there for a while, I think. I don't remember how long ago I did those ones, but yeah, there's good stuff. What was the other thing? You made a crap when you do newer technology as a hobby with less pressure on you to succeed. Yeah. What is this? Oh yeah. So you should be able to drop based on the name now, Swoog. Let me try. Here. I don't remember if it's drop materia or what it is. Yep, there it is. So drop magic plus, and drop. There you go. So you can drop materia out of there, and there. Now I added a magic plus. So yep. So if I do that, it should. I thought it was going to tell me the one I was missing there. Oh, whoops. Materia master. That should tell me. Okay. Materia master command. So now I got a master command materia. So you can set costs for all of those, Swoog. Okay. One thing is true that is the Gang of Four wrote the guidelines for 30 years ago, and they are still valid. So yes, one of the interesting things is that you are not wrong. So there have been a lot of programming like concepts, principles, values, those sorts of things that have not changed in programming, despite our languages having changed. The way that they apply requires a modern understanding of it for some things, because the programming languages don't always work the same way. For example, like when those, like someone may not have been thinking about functional programming when they came up with all of those. Hey, Mr. Shoji, welcome. So it's kind of fun when the kids discover MVC and think it is something new. Yes, so MVC is actually a very old concept that has had a lot of modern implementations. Oh yeah, no, fire copy. This is original. We are no FF7R here. This is absolutely the original game that we are giving chat the control of. I'm guessing GS Oster, we'll say. I have no idea, but either way, welcome. Thanks for that follow. If I totally just butchered your name, I apologize about that. Let me know, and I'll try to say it better. Sometimes it's like people are like, oh no, you say this letter, and then that part. Remake, yeah, no. We're old timers here. Is there a way to force materia to be equipped? Not yet, D-Ben. Not yet. There will be, but not yet. Using cool events, and in reality, just using the observer pad. Oh, yes. Yeah, so the interesting thing about that is and hey, Code with Sean, a lot of those concepts, the principles, the patterns, the practices, the things like that, have not really changed in my career even. And I've been programming for, more than 20 years. And they're pretty much the same. Even the new patterns that we get. Hey, Nate. Welcome to the stream. Even the new stuff that we get is usually just a variant of another one. So, for example, there are some patterns that didn't have names before that are really just more specific implementations of previous patterns. I will give an example. The strategy pattern is a pattern that has been around for a long time. And there are many patterns that are essentially more specific versions of the strategy pattern. It's still, like, when it boils down to it, you'd go, okay, yeah, I get that. That's just the strategy pattern. And it's like, yep, that's just the strategy pattern. It is essentially a prescribed version, like a variant of the... It's kind of like how Swoog's, so Swoogie in there, he speaks English and I speak English, except that he speaks, UK English and I speak US English. So the way, yes, exactly. I speak proper English and you speak old-timey English, right? Is that what you... Yeah, I thought that's what you meant when you said proper English. Well, yeah, okay, and that's true. That's true. So some people, I was kidding. I was kidding. Joke. Yeah. The number of UK English speakers there are in this chat is actually pretty high right now. So hence the fun of that. They say US English is more. Is it Surly Dev? So it might be. That's. I think when they say that, I think they might be talking about pronunciation, but it's hard to say. And yes. English is a very weird language. Just gonna go out on that one. English is a very weird language. Surly Dev, what was your question? Move the hair and let it turn. Oh yes. Yep. Simon, welcome. Thanks for that follow. The funny thing about my hair is I actually used to have long hair so at a point in my life my hair came down to like here. So like I've had hair that moved before. I don't currently have hair that moves. Async and await was invented pre-1960s. Yeah, that makes sense. Photos do actually exist of that, Surly Dev. Yeah, it's been a long time, but those photos do exist. Well, that's bad. The weird part is, I have not had long hair since I've been married. I should cite that one. I've been married for a long time. When my now wife was my girlfriend, she got her hair cut one time, and to like shoulder height, so not very short, and it was weird because I was like, hang on, wait, I have the longer hair now. It's like, okay, that's weird. And then that same day that she got her hair cut, I cut my hair up to like here, and I was like, okay, that's better. And then I eventually went to, roughly speaking, this length of hair, and I've kept it this way for quite a while. I have been married for, more than a decade. Fewer than 2 decades. Oh, Code with Sean. Steve probably has pictures of me with somewhat long hair, maybe somewhere. I can't remember if Steve knew me when my hair was that long, though. He has known me long enough to have known me when I had fairly long hair, at least. So you are correct. I've known Steve for a very long time. The people who might have those is actually, funny enough, Steve's in-laws are more likely to have pictures of me with long hair. So the really weird part is, I went to school with Steve's in-laws. So his brother-in-law was actually in my German classes in high school, funny enough. And yes, my hair is occasionally getting out of control at this point because I'm not cutting it very often at all. Can't find the logins for your Swoog bot. Can't get auth code or login. Swoog. So if you're having trouble getting that, what I will tell you is this: hang on, let me check this real fast. Let me go ahead and check something, Swoog. You can get around it. I'm going to remove some values so the chat can't see them. Okay, Swoog. That amount of text. Okay, here's what you're going to do. So from curly brace to curly brace there, you're going to find this somewhere in your old file. You're going to look for this part where you've got a username, an access token, and a channel. That's going to be in your i7.json file. So in your main one, just the i7.json, you will find the username, the access token, and the channel. You need this portion, of which I will copy and paste this. I've removed my access token so that chat can't see it, but that is what you need, is that part. Your access token will be there in your old i7 piece, and that was the full file. So I will send you what that file is supposed to be, so you know what code to yank out. And if anyone is in here, by the way, since I'm hopping over into a Discord right now, that is not a member of our DevChatter Discord, I would highly recommend you take a look over there. I don't know if my bot is running right now, but we're going to find out here in a second. The answer to that question is no, it is not. Yes, you'll find that text in your i7.json. You want to take that section. The code I showed you was my i7 twitch.json, and you just need to pull that out of the one and put it in the other. So if you just copy that out of your main one and put it in there, you'll be good. DevChatter bot, why don't you give us a nice restart here, and we'll see if you run any better once I do that. Sister, brother-in-law, I can see. Yes. Yes. These siblings, not the parents. I'm not like that much older than Steve. In fact, I'm not older than Steve. Steve is older than I am, by a lot. Steve is ancient. Hopefully he's watching the stream, because it's more fun to insult people to their face. That was a joke. Steve's not that much older than I am. It's just fun to tease. Okay, so I tossed some links to stuff in the chat over there. So if you're not a member of our Discord, you really should check it out. It's a very welcoming community over there. So feel free to have a look, see, and Code with Sean. You are correct. I am not 46 years old. You are older than I am. I don't know that you should be like certain about that, but like, because you're not that much older than I am. But yes, you are older than I am. That's one of those the really weird thing. Yeah, exactly. You young whippersnapper, get off my lawn. Yes. It is surprisingly difficult to guess people's ages. I will cite that when I was and ages are hard to determine based on the person, just because the way different people change is just weird. The funny part was when I was like 21, 22, people would usually guess that I was about 30. And the reason is not usually based on appearance, but guesses based on what I was doing at the time. So like, I would be the speaker at their conference or something like that, and would show up even with like credentials from like, it's like, oh yes, I'd been awarded like MVP award from Microsoft and was, in all these different insiders groups and things like that. It's like, no, not a 30-year-old. I'm like 21, and yep, been doing this for a while. It's like, yep, not the oldest person here by any stretch, not even the same age as most of the people here, but people guess based on all kinds of stuff. They just kind of. Code with Sean, you got your first MVP award. That's awesome. Congratulations, by the way. It is nice that the community has recognized your contributions. And it is interesting how that stuff works. Oh, hang on. Swig had a question for me that I should answer. There will be a lot of interviews, but a good CV helps. If you have any projects you've done or GitHub. Yes. USA Mickey must have asked a question that Mr. Shoji got in and answered for me. Yeah, so he's absolutely right. If you are trying to get a job in programming, it is while it is not a necessity, and if you can't do this, it is not a good thing among developers that we look at this, because some people simply don't have the time to do side projects. But being able to highlight any side project you do is a fantastic way to help you get your foot in the door in any business. Okay, does the Twitch channel have to be the full... It's just the name. No problem, Swoog. It's just the name. I posted in Discord the example of my settings. You then just need the access token, which will be the OAuth token that you're going to put in there. And I should see how that's formatted to be helpful to you on that. So it's the OAuth token without the word OAuth. So, be sure that it doesn't start OAuth. It does not. Okay. Let's see. You told a guy that he was 28 once he was 21. Yes, exactly. That is absolute. Yep. A lot of the ways that we guess age are not actually possible to determine. I went to high school with a guy that looked like he was about 35, and it's like, nope, he's a high school student. He had the full mountain man beard down to here, wrinkles in his face and everything, and it's like, okay, you do not look like a high school student. And he literally could walk into any, they never carded him anywhere as a high school student because he really did look like he was 35. So never judge people based on appearance. It is just a bad idea. Oh, awesome. You've been running a user group for 11 years. That is great. And yes, Surly was mentioning side projects and Git repo are a great way to help with things. So one of the recommendations I would make is when you put information about yourself on a resume or something like that, include your GitHub repo. Legit, I used to work for companies as the hiring manager for the consulting side of things at some companies. So I would hire dev consultants, and if you put your GitHub repo on there, I would go to your GitHub repo and look at what was there. So because I can just go okay, this is the stack that have GitHub repos. All right, I'm going to go pull them up and see what they've got on there. Are they doing anything right now? What tech are they looking at? And it doesn't, if you haven't worked on something recently, that's fine. What did you look at before? What did you do? Were you working on projects? I don't care that in the last 6 months you have not had time to build something. What did you build before that? Was it interesting? Was it cool? Did you try something? Did you do katas? Did you, I'm not going to dig into your code and be like, how good is this person? Blah, 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 or anything like that. But if you've got it, why not include it? Because I will take a look at that. It's nicer when it is like a GitHub repo. I'm not going to read through an 8-page resume, but I will go glance at your repos and see what kind of stuff you're working on. So it's a good way of distinguishing yourself a little bit, being like, look, here's a sample of some things that I like to do. So it lets let someone actually know. Yeah, yes, he used tabs, not spaces. Oh no, we're not hiring this person. This is a spaces office only. You're fascinated by programming. In fact, you bought a... Yes. Programming is a really neat hobby. Even if you don't want to be a software developer as your job, it is a neat hobby because it gives you a lot of freedom to automate things and do really cool stuff. You just logged in with your main account to get it? Okay, well, that works, Swoog. So i7 will be running as eSwoogie in your chat today. That's fine. Oh, you accidentally... Oh no, you did it in your browser, so it went in there, and you didn't mean to do it that way. Oh, I understand. Doesn't know the difference between Java and Java. Yes, if you're hiring a junior programming, not knowing the difference between Java and JavaScript, that's okay. I would still consider hiring a junior programmer. Now, I should cite that I don't consider a programmer or a developer, whatever you want to say. I don't consider the junior ones to be the ones that have formal training in that, or a complete formal training. If it makes you feel better, Swug, if you were worried about the security risk of my program having access to all of your whispers and anything, you do understand that you literally ran a program that required access to your computer while you were running it. So, like, if you were actually worried about that, like, legit, that you ran an executable on your computer, like, if i7 really wanted to, it could take, like, whatever it was. It's like realistically, like, there's a lot of trust there, because it's like, yeah, it's like you run a program that someone on the internet just sent you. Like, it could have anything in it. Okay, mention projects in your resume too. Yes, exactly. Anything you can put on there that stands out. Tip, though, you want to put stuff on a resume that will make you stand out, but don't make your resume too large. I'll be honest with you. If I got your resume and it has 4 pages or more, I'm not reading it. I'm not going to read 4 pages of a resume. Not for a software developer. Because, to be honest, there cannot be 4 pages in that resume that are actually all that relevant. So, if you're coming out of college, 1-page resume. If you've been programming for a long time, yes, exactly. As Soji says, you can get a backside of the page. You really don't need to. You really do not need to have like multiple pages of resume. That's just the answer. Yes, exactly. And leading lady, did you read through all of those? like there's no way you read through all those pages. And so the interesting thing is there are some jobs. So, like, if you are going to be a professor, absolutely those, exactly, you skimmed and looked for relevant stuff. And the silly thing about that is that when you get a resume like that, it's one of those, like, okay, like, you could have condensed to make sure that I saw the relevant information and I didn't have to skim it, because if I skim it, there's a good chance that I'm going to miss something relevant that you wanted to tell me about. So, because I'm not going to read the whole thing. There's no way, like, if I get a stack of 100 resumes, I'm not going to read, like, first off, I'm going to have to figure out which one of those I even want to talk to the person. And then if I'm going to talk to you, like, okay, if I'm going to schedule calls so that, like, I'm going to talk to 20 people, again, I'm going to read, the page and talk to you about that page. I can't talk to you about 7 pages worth of things for each one of you. Like, that's just not going to happen. Some people look for gaps in your CV. So, oh yeah, okay, that's true. So Fuel Snable is right. Try not to leave gaps. And I say this, this is a problem. This exists outside of programming. This exists in other places as well. If there is a gap, make sure the gap is explained, because there's a couple of options for the gap. So if there's a gap in your resume, the concerns are either that you were having trouble finding a job, which is like a red flag that you might not be good. But while we wish it were not the case, businesses, for example, have never, so like, and this isn't exclusive to tech, but it is absolutely a problem in tech. Companies are not good about rehiring women, for example, and men do. Some men do this too, but it's much less common, that take time off to care for kids, for example. So if you take off like time to care for your kids, put something in there, like, you could note that, but something that would be, it is terrible that the industry is like this, and it is an awful thing that we should fix, but my recommendation to try and avoid the issue for that, like regardless of why you had the time off, is have some kind of project that you did during that. So you can have that you had the time off, but show that you are not like out of date with your programming skills, because people try to use those things as excuses and other stuff like that, and it's like, nope, nope, do not let anyone get away with, you're having a gap. I mean, your gap could have been anything. For example, as Swig mentions, it could be literally you went to be a gaming streamer. I don't care what it is. Get something on your resume in that spot for something you did during that time period, so that they can't like essentially just toss your resume on. Oh, this one had a gap. This this one hasn't had a programming job in 2 years, so nope, they're out of the bucket. Like we're not looking at that one. It's like, nope, just put anything in there. Were you involved in some other organization? And the funny thing is, I actually think at a decent number of organizations you could put down that you were streaming. So like if you were one of the people that went and tried the whole, hey, I'm going to be a full-time streamer thing, okay, cool, good luck. If you made it, congratulations. If you didn't, well, you could maybe put that on a programmer resume, potentially. Programming is one of those fields where I think you could get away with it. Some of the other ones might be a little weird, but who knows? Online media content producer for a subsidiary of Amazon. Well done, Swoog. That is a great way of saying Twitch streamer. Yes, exactly. Yeah, you just find a way to make it relevant. So, for example, you could say something about like a side project that you were working on. So if you were contributing to an open source project or something like that during that time period, it's basically it's kind of like a, hey, my skills are not out of date, even though I was not programming for these 2 years professionally. And that's why I say, like, I hate that. So from the other side of that, if you are someone hiring, I guess I'm talking to you, person in the chat. If you are hiring someone and they have a gap, don't just throw the resume out because they have a gap. Glad we've gotten that out of the way. Took 5 years off from the corporate world to stream FF7. 5 years is a long time. Wait, what is this? Oh, yeah. The more on a resume, the more like answers questions of submission. Yes. So Sean is correct. Yes, with long resumes that claim a whole bunch of skills, it's usually a good idea to ask basic questions about those, because a lot of people in the industry will just add technologies to that. And that's actually also another problem if you are hiring people out of like recruiting organizations. So one of my clients recently, which I won't say more than just one of my clients, was hiring on some additional people, and and they actually asked me to be in the interview. And so I was in the interview and I asked a bunch of questions, and essentially something we ended up finding in the interview is despite the fact that the resume included a bunch of the technology that we use, including like Angular and C# and everything like that, it's like, oh, you work in PHP and the company you were, and basically the end result of that is, got it, the company that you are using as your recruiter has altered your resume to add all these technologies, and you never even you're not even the one that lied about it. It is the recruiting company. And the stupid thing about that is that we did end up hiring the person because we actually liked them, and they were honest the whole time. They didn't try to pretend that they knew the technology. It's one of those, like, and that's what I'll also stand for. You like, you want to make sure that things are explained and you have good information, useful stuff in your resume, but don't lie. Like, if you lie, like, you're in a lot of trouble. You can still get hired even if you tell the truth about it. So we really did hire someone that admitted that they did not know the technology that we were looking for someone to do. But part of the reason why we hired them is legitimately some of the stuff we wanted them to do, they had some experience with. So they did not know .NET Core at all, but on their own, they'd gone and done an ASP.NET project, and we took a look at it, and it was .NET, it was full framework ASP.NET, and they didn't really know a lot of the stuff, but it's like, okay, and when did you do that? And we because they were honest about other stuff, we figured they were honest about this, and it was like, oh, like, you actually didn't take all that, like, you went and figured all this stuff out and did that, like, okay, cool, like, we trust that you're going to do that, here as well, that you will, go and be a self-starter and learn things. And so it's like, yep, that's a win. Recruiting, yes, recruiting requires skills sometimes. Question. You found the email for... Oh, cool. Good job, Swoog. Glad you found your stuff to get that working. Feel simple. Watching shader competition real-time coding. That's awesome, Fuel Stable. You got hired by the government for a .NET developer full stack. You hadn't touched the technology before. Yes, exactly. Elfenslayer. That is precisely it. You are... I will stand that you are better off admitting that you don't know the technology. More people need to be willing to admit they don't know things. It is perfectly fine to not know things, because be willing to learn them and admit that you don't know them. And if you don't have all of the skills that are listed for the requirements for a job, apply anyway. Seriously, not kidding. You do not need to have the skills, even if they list them, because they can be much more impressed by what you know that was not what they were asking for. So, for example, if you come in, it's a C# job and you know F#, they might be like, well, actually, that, our code could really use that, and we were not hiring for that, but that's, an interesting thing. And yes, the person that mentions bring a copy of your resume, yes, bring multiple copies of your resume when you go to an interview. And in fact, if I'm interviewing you, I will have multiple copies of your resume with me too. So even if you forgot to bring one of your own, I will have it for you. The thing to remember is that especially among developer jobs, and now the current market might be a little bit weird because so many people are unemployed right now, but the interview process is absolutely both ways. It should be in all industries, but it very much is in ours. The interviewer should be should be honest with the person they're trying to hire also, because while I'm interviewing this candidate for a job, they should be interviewing me and the company that I'm hiring for also. So that is one of the big things, is that they're not one-sided. If you are interviewing for a job, you are evaluating whether or not you want to work there. So don't forget that side of things. So many people think like, oh, I got the job. It's like, no, that's a two-way thing. Like, they hire, like, it's a relationship. Like, both sides are trying to figure out if the other one's right. Let's see. And yes, Mr. Shoji's correct. Take lots of notes. What does it do with my list of questions predicts the answers and leave multi-choice that I can tick an item instead of having to write down or scribble? Yes, that is a good idea. To be honest, you used to have a hard time even print a resume. Nice, Surly Dev. Yeah. So as Surly Dev mentions, a lot of times those can be like deal breakers. So there can be things that you can find out really early on that are a problem. So for example, some people want to work in a culture that is like super relaxed. So I know some people that always show up to their interview in like a hoodie. And the reason why they'll do that is because they figure, If the company doesn't like the fact that they're wearing a hoodie to the interview, the company will throw them out immediately, and if they do, then they didn't want to work there. And it's like, yep. If you only want to work at a place where they don't care at all what you wear, that's one way to find out. The other tricks that you can do are, I will stand by the way that there are plenty of companies where it is acceptable to wear a hoodie on a regular day in the office, but that doesn't mean that they'll accept it in an interview, because there's also knowledge of when you should like try to look nicer. Like, oh yes, we're meeting with a client. Well, we're not like talking like suit and tie, but like it depends on which parts of businesses you're in, because like, yes, internally this is what we do, but like then when we're like meeting with potential new clients, like, so there's craziness on all that stuff. But anyway, interviewing is weird. How do you feel about companies doing take-home projects as part of an interview process? I don't terribly mind it as long as it legitimately is short. It's gotta be short. Yes, Mr. Shoji's right there. It should not exceed a couple of hours. If it's something that takes more than like an hour or two to do, then it's way too long and you shouldn't be doing it. Oh yeah, see, so that is actually fine also. So one of the things that I like is if you're gonna do in person, you need to make it clear that you don't expect it to be complete and that you're really looking more at how they approach the problem and things like that. So those are also a thing. And FireCopy is correct. FireCopy just hit on exactly what I do, which is contact whomever it is that you are in communication with at the company, and this actually could be part of your initial communication with them, is find out how they dress for the interview. And for example, if that is a deal breaker, if they say that everybody's going to be, like if their response gives you the impression that they're going to be in ties and you don't want to wear a tie, cancel your interview. And it also then lets you essentially make the right choice. So because as I said, I don't care. I'm willing to work at a place that's like, t-shirt, graphic tees are fine to wear, but I'm also perfectly happy to work at a place where they want you to have a collared shirt when you're in the office. That being said, I'm not willing to work at a place that requires that I wear a suit every day. But I'm not a big fan of like ties and suits at the office, but that's just me. I always ask at the end, I asked earlier about performance reviews and ways to improve skills. Are there any aspects of my interview today that you... Oh, that is actually a very nice question, Surly Dev. Other things. So if you are... Other questions that I do recommend people ask. And one of the big reasons I want to recommend that you ask this question is people come into this chat all the time and ask this question. They say things like, how do I get my business or employer or my team, how should we be improving what we do and learning? How do we get practice, like deliberate practice concepts? How do we get these types of things in our organization? And, I recommend to people, it's like, hey, yeah, do katas and programming exercises, because that really can help you learn a new technology or a new skill or something like that. And my answer to that is, you really want to get your employer buy-in, so you're not having to just take all that time on your weekend to do it yourself. So you really want to have an employer that is engaged in doing these kinds and wants their team to get better. So ask questions about that in the interview. So, for example, something that I ask when I'm in an interview is I will always ask a potential employer, for example, do you have budget for the team to attend conferences? How do you handle developers that are going to be speaking at various events, user groups, and other conferences? Are there budgets for buying books for the team? Do you pay for software? Is there a budget for Pluralsight or Linda courses or Udemy or whatever? Like, do you have, like, what is your company's like learning budget essentially? Like, how do you encourage this? Do you have any dedicated time for the team to internally learn and grow as a team? It's these concepts you can ask in an interview. The answer might be no, we don't have any of that, but at least then you can use that to evaluate whether or not you want to work there. And that's also a flag to the companies that, oh, people we're trying to hire are interested in us, like, caring about their, learning and growth as a developer. Like, yeah, that's important to a lot of us. After the interview, follow up with an email thanking them for the time. And yes, Surly Dev, way to step in with a lot of the professional stuff. And yes, you should always follow up every interview with some kind of email contacting them. So if you left the interview wanting to get hired there, if you actually think that you are interested in a job there. Yep, very, very good advice, Surly Dev. Why is the position currently open is a great question. It could be grow. The best answers to that are usually just that the team is growing, or that they're stepping into new technology or something like that. Yes, no, absolutely, yes. Even if you think it went badly, when I say think it went badly, when I say the only time that you don't follow up is if you do not want the job. If you do not want the job, you can follow up if you like or not. It's up to you at that point. I would probably still follow up so that you have a nice relationship with them, and by that I mean, excuse me. I not all that long ago interviewed for a job. Met with the I met with them. I even talked to the CEO of the company as part of my interview, and at the end of the day, they offered me a job. I did not take the job. I was still very polite with them. I was still in good communication with them. I was even emailing with them after the fact that I had not accepted the job, in like a very, very friendly, cordial way. Right? Very, very good, like, dialogue with them about that, and I made sure that they understood the reason was, like, the reasons why I didn't take the job, right? Without me going into details about the company or the job or anything like that. The interesting thing is, then a month later, I contacted the person that I had interviewed with and said, "Hey, I have a friend that actually I think would be interested in working there," and so my friend now works at that company, and I actually sent him in. It's like, here, skip all their path, like, go in, basically, like, here, I'm going to refer you to a company that I've never worked at, but I interviewed, and I've asked all the questions that you're going to ask, and I think that you will actually like this company. And he's now been working at the company for a while. But it's one of those, like, because I didn't burn any bridges, even though it was not the right fit for me at that time, it can be for someone else. And if you still follow up and send those emails, you can then help connect someone else to it. So those kinds of things absolutely exist, because there are a lot of situations where the way this company does things, like, and I'm talking about different companies now, like, is a problem for me. Like, I don't want to work in that environment, but I know other people that would be fine with it. So don't make interviewer feel uncomfortable, and don't make the interviewee feel uncomfortable either. Fire copy, you're absolutely right. You once had an interview discussion between you and also, hey Todd, welcome. The winner from 2.5 hours and thought afterwards that I waffled on. Oh yes, absolutely. Surly Dev, no, you're totally right. So I can tell you that even from the other side of the table, I've had conversations with people where I ended up hiring them, but then I found out after the fact that they thought they bombed the interview. And it's like, no, you didn't bomb the interview. Like, I followed up with all those extra questions and everything, because we were interested in hiring you. So, like, you thought, like, that you were getting asked all of these extra questions and that was somehow a mess up. It's like, no, that was, like, it is hard to tell sometimes whether or not whether or not the you don't know the reason someone's asking you certain questions and things like that because you can't read their mind. So it is very easy to not understand um, exactly how an interview went. And putting two interviews against each other. Fuel Snabble, that is a terrible idea. Fuel Snabble is suggesting in chat that you have, I mean, jokingly suggesting in chat that you have candidates compete for a job by doing like some live coding competition. But no, that is a terrible idea. Francesca, and also Rocket Plays and Fancy Yellow. I don't think I thanked any of you for those follows. Much appreciated. Battle Royale interviews, yes. 100 developers come in, only one developer gets the job. And why do you keep trying to fleece the menu, Jen's Duck? BDD, hey! Thanks very much for the Twitch Prime sub. Hopefully that is because you're enjoying torturing Swoog over on another stream. Hang on a sec. Is this muted? I hope that's muted. That's muted. Okay. Oh, hey, that's fun. Is he live yet, even? I can't tell if he's live. Did Swoog go live? No. He's not live. And, Dragon, welcome. Thanks very much for that follow. Much appreciated. Be bright. What? If we do that, we should have... Hey, Copper Beardy, welcome. We've been chatting about interviewing as developers rather than writing much code, but the conversation's been good, and this is DevChatter, so at any point, you can fully expect that we will just start chatting about stuff. I was the only one offered a place because I was the only one willing to help others there when they got stuck. Oh, that's awesome, Mr. Shoji. Out of about a dozen of us. That is actually amazing. Good job on you. How do you find your exact place in a... Oh my god, yes. Okay. Fancy Yellow, you gotta try them all is my answer on that, to actually know which one you really want to do. So I have worked in a few areas of tech, including server administration, but that has been a long time. I've been programming for quite a while. I really like the creation of new stuff and seeing it work, and by that I mean like seeing it work for people, like, you know, actually helping someone do a thing, not just like, oh wow, like, yeah, I like that. That's like, you know, fleeting, right? Like, you know, we watched our fireworks command work. Yeah, that's cool. Hey, C Films, welcome. Didn't you were here before, weren't you? I think you were here already. Welcome back if you're back then. So some people like working with their hands and building things. So if you like that, you're going to be in a different part of tech. But you can try them all and see what you like in tech. It's a broad field. 80% chatting, 20% coding standard stream for me. Yeah, Copperbeardy, it totally happens here. But that's why this channel was called DevChatter a long time ago. It's like, yeah, it's a channel for just chatting, like for writing code and chatting about code. Like, the DevChatter name, I think I came up with in like 2015 or something like that. It was a long time ago, actually. And didn't actually start streaming on it regularly until like 2.5 years ago. But yep, it totally works. So I want to talk about something that Mr. Shoji mentioned. So Mr. Shoji mentioned that he was in an interview where it was a bunch of people all asked to write code at the same time, and that you got offered the job because you were the one willing to help people. And the reason I want to talk about this is because, first off, that is an awesome thing. It's very powerful, and you want people to do that on your team. Like, those are the best developers to have on your team. Are people that are willing to help the rest of the team. potentially even at their own expense. Now, let's get to the problem, because clearly I'm going to talk about some kind of an issue. And that is, in a lot of developer organizations, they like to measure performance, and they're like, oh yes, we have these performance reviews, and oh yes, there's these, like, you can get XYZ bonus depending on how you do by the end of the quarter or something. And businesses love those concepts, and they're like, yeah, this is great. And I sit there and I go, except that that's not what you really want. You could kind of say, like, okay, we're going to do performance-based bonuses on the team level, but even then, that's risky. And the reason I say this is, I have worked with a lot of devs that are fantastic devs, and they're brilliant. And one of the things that is best about them is not just that they're very smart with code, but they will help other people. And one of the devs that I've worked with, for example, would get pulled onto all the other teams. Like, you're assigned to one team working on one project, with a group of people. And if you go and help another team, you're not helping your team, which may or may not be a good thing. As long as priorities are understood, and you're not letting things fall behind, we all should be helping the other people in our same company because, you're working towards the same goals. The trick is, some people are going to get pulled a lot more that way, and that could reflect poorly on their own performance because they're helping everyone else, and everyone else's performance goes up because they did better. But they only did better because they got the help they needed when they needed it. And so it's risky to measure that kind of individual performance because if you even think about it, it's like, well, of course you want to hire the person that's going to help the other people on the team to do better. Because, yes, exactly. What Surly Dev is mentioning there is one of the terrible things that people do is they'll be like, be careful about how, and that person might not be wrong when they say don't help others because it's at the expense of your own efforts. It's like, but no, if helping someone else hurts me, there's a systemic problem in the organization that I'm in that is not recognizing the fact that, the project I was working on, only went down because, I was helping this other one. That being said, we do need to make sure that we enforce priorities. So if the team lead knows, hey, this project's actually more important right now, so, we're going to help so-and-so with their stuff, but we're going to do it at the right time because this is a more important project. So we need to be here instead. So that's where the guidance of leadership, making sure that people are working on the right stuff totally makes sense because you don't want to, prioritize the wrong things, but at the same time, you should be willing and able to help other people. Does anybody now imagine as the dude in the Jurassic Park who stole the DNA? When it comes to, oh yeah. No, do not call me Newman. That is terrible insult. And yes, it shows my age that I even refer to him as Newman. Your mentality was and still is, if you see someone working on something I can help them with, yes, exactly. Yep, you should be willing to help them. I agree, Surly. I am glad that you did not take the advice of that team leader. Yes, that is a fantastic way of saying it. Hey, I've got experience with this and I can help out so-and-so. That is a good way of because that gives someone the chance to say that something else is a bigger priority and that we need to focus somewhere else. So, but it also makes clear that, it does give the chance for that help to happen. So it's very good stuff. Okay, sometimes I say, no, I need to work on ABC because that helps out Jim later. Yeah. Yes, Copperbeardy is correct. You really want to help your team grow also. Don't just answer the question for them either. Make sure that they know why things are the way they are, stuff like that. I was kidding. I was not actually insulted by the Newman comment. You didn't say the magic word. Yes, so the one of the big things is that you really do want to promote growth within your team. and by that I mean learning new tech, learning new ways of doing things, new processes, different techniques, trying different stuff. It doesn't matter what it is, like improving the communication among your team. No matter how well your team does anything, you should always be looking at what other teams are doing, that they're doing well, what your team could be doing better. There are always changes you can make, so very, very important. Fuel Snable. So the funny thing about that is, a long time ago, I used to actually watch a lot of Twitch streams, and what I would do is I'd actually usually have 4 to 8 Twitch streams up at any given time, with the volumes adjusted so that I could hear all the different streams at the same time. That would be like, after work I would do that. This is, I have young kids, so pre the kids. That's one of the things I would do, which is really fun way to watch streams. I don't know how well that works with programming and discussions, but either way. Okay, so it looks like we have all the bidding stuff that we wanted to do added into Interactive 7. Now at this point, we need essentially the background process that is going to be enforcing those moods. So, sorry for jumping back into the code here for a second, but we have this mood enforcer class that this is going to be the next piece of this that we're going to build. Essentially, this is... yes, exactly, Copperbeardy. Who has 4 to 8 screens of different streams up at the same time? So the mood enforcer is actually what we're going to be using to do this enforcer. I called it that because it's kind of like this is what keeps the mood going through the whole time you're playing the game. We're essentially going to use this to apply the effects of the moods. So some moods we can just make a tweak and it's done and it doesn't actually matter. But for some of the moods that we're going to build into this game, it is going to require constant updates to certain values in order to essentially force the game to stay in the state that we want it to be. So that's why we called it the mood enforcer. The way that we're going to do this is we're going to have it running on a timer in the background, essentially, so just occasionally just checking things, and it's going to basically see what mood am I supposed to be running at any given time. So chat will be bidding for which mood they want the next one to be, and when we trigger a new one, the mood enforcer is what's going to keep that going. So that is what we're going to be building next time on the stream, is this piece, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So we've got the bidding in place. We now just need to trigger which one should be enforced, enforce it, and then we should have like the V1 of moods built into our Interactive 7 program here. So should be quite fun. Who can handle another stream in addition to this brain dump from Brendan? Only someone who isn't paying attention, probably. Yeah, that's probably fair, Surly Dev. You have to lead a dev team. Do I recommend any books to help with that? That's a fantastic question. There are... I'm glad you're paying attention, Mr. Shoji. I appreciate it. There are a number of books that can be relevant. So there are a lot of books... there's 2 ways that we can talk about this. There are books about like relationships and communication and things like that side of leadership, which is very important. I would recommend reading How to Win Friends and Influence People. The title makes it sound like something that it isn't, because the goal isn't like it's more about understanding like people. If you read that book, I think you'll find that you'll get along with people better. There are also a number of other books about those kinds of things regarding processes and that sort of thing. So if you're having to do some of the management style and just not the like encouragement-y style, there are also hit them with some books. There are also, you can find links to relevant programming books down below the stream as well. And actually, now that I think about it, there's a book I'm planning on removing from that list. But but there are books like, so I'm a fan of extreme programming as a concept. I wouldn't say implementing it exactly right now is necessarily a good idea, but Extreme Programming Explained can help you get some of the idea around that sort of stuff. So that's an interesting book to read. There are Kanban books that you could read. There are a number of Agile books that I would recommend taking a look at. Martin Fowler does have some very good books. I've read a number of his. They're very good. Trying to think of what else I would specifically recommend. So one of the challenges is that a lot of times there are a lot of businesses have certain types of like, I almost want to say like development workflow that they already use. So like a flavor of Agile almost, that you're going to be in that regardless, and so you should read a book about that. And yes, you could also check out LinkedIn Learning and other things like that. There are a lot of good courses online about that sort of thing as well. If you're having to get into the more like management, like space of things, I don't have great recommendations for those ones, for like how to deal, like information about dealing with performance reviews and raises and blah blah blah, and discussions about all that kind of stuff. Like, I'll admit I don't have a good recommendation for a book about those. That being said, generally speaking, the reason I recommend How to Win Friends and Influence People is it is just generally good for just communication. Also, read Slack. I'm sure there's a link to it down below the stream here. There's a link to a book called Slack. Everyone should read that. You haven't been able to get a job in tech. You used to work in aerospace, and you currently work in road construction. What kind of tech do you want to do, C-Films? Is it programming? Because you say you want to get a job in tech, but what do you mean? And online coding tests. Ooh, that's a good question. So if you want to get a job in tech, first off, that is the hilarious link there, Surly Dev. You just spammed the whole chat with that link. Yeah, that is a heck of a link. So the first recommendation I would make, if you want to, if by tech you mean programming, learn a programming language. And then once you know said programming language, do a project in it. Doesn't matter what the project is. So that same advice that I gave a long time ago about how do you get started learning to code, and I said work on projects. If you want to get hired as a programmer, work on projects. Build a thing for yourself. That sounds fun. It doesn't matter what it is. Just build something. That will help you get a job in tech. When you put a resume together, so put your project, and the project you build, put it on GitHub. Make sure that on your resume there's a link to that GitHub at the top of the resume, so that they can see, like, oh yes, it's at github.com/DevChatter, right? So that they can go take a look at your GitHub. Other things to do: attend your local meetup groups. Your local meetup groups about, like, this doesn't apply right now during pandemic, but if we're talking like a year in the future, and there's a in-person meetup group, attend that. Meet the people there. Make sure they know you're a junior dev looking to get a job somewhere. You don't have to like talk to them and be like, hey, yes, I'm a junior dev and I'm looking to get a job somewhere. Like, you don't have to say that. But you can, when people talk about themselves, like, hey, yeah, like, I'm in this and I'm looking to do such and such. Like, yeah, that's totally fine. And I apologize, C-Films. I think the overzealous bot just nuked all your stuff there. How do I have the chat open? What did it nuke? Oh, your website, yes. Yep, having your website and linking to that there will also help you. And yes, yeah, no, yeah, Nightbot is Nightbot's over aggressive about nuking links. Yes. Sorry about that. So what I was going to say is, yes, having a website, having links to projects you've worked on, things like that are really good. Meeting local people that are also developers, that's also useful. So you can, apply to the company they're working for, because companies will often have jobs that they are trying to fill. And if you know some of their existing devs, not only does that get you like a better chance of getting in the door at that company, that will also let you know whether or not you want to work there. Because if you're just listening to that dev complain about the company the whole time, it might not be a place that you wanted to go anyway. If you do not really have much of a programming background, the expensive option is to go through a boot camp, which are often like 12-week programs where they do all of the teaching of how to code in some language. So like you can go find one that'll teach you C# or Java or JavaScript or something like that. And at the end of it, they also usually help you find a job at a company. So those are great ways to get yourself in the door. If you already know how to code, then there are other answers for that. How much would you recommend that Slack book? You're tempted to spend Surly Dev. It's a short book. It's not like a large book or anything like that. But so Slack is a little book about having Slack. It's a good book. I think it's worth people reading. If you're worried about spending eight pounds on it, then don't buy it. But if you are interested in reading it, it's worth £8 to read it. I like the book. I thought it was good. So I guess the short answer is £8 is not all that much money. If it sounds like a lot of money to you, don't buy it. I like the book, and there's a reason it's linked below. I think it's a book that is worth it for people to read, especially anybody that is going to be making the decisions about what the team should be working on. Junior dev is so tempted looking at senior devs. So you do web development, including HTML, CSS, and you develop your own websites. So C-Films, sounds like you just need to get yourself in the door at those companies. You need to find entry-level positions or junior-level positions, something like that, if you're having trouble getting that first programming job. I don't know do you have a college degree of some kind? And I don't even know what country you're in, which is going to make huge differences also. But in a lot of places, you can usually just get in the door if you know the right people and can talk with them. So you have 2 degrees. You should be able to get in the door then. At most places. Even if they're not relevant to programming. It literally just takes applying to the right, applying to places. Again, take that with a grain of salt, because right now, the market is weird right now. Let me click that button. All right. Once that finishes loading, well, in that case, C-Films, the biggest challenge that you're going to run into is you have something similar to the gap that I was talking about a while back. You just need to make sure that it is clear that you are still programming and know all this relevant stuff. So you just need to make it obvious on your resume. Like, you could list, instead of just having experience, you could you could have like a little section that's a blurb about projects that you've built, and you could list your website and even say the URL so that they could go and take a look at this website you built and say what tech stack it's built with, for example. So that's what I would recommend there. And then try to find organizations that use specifically the tech that you use. So for people with experience, I tell them don't worry about the tech stack because you can get in anywhere. It probably easier for you if you match the tech stack. That being said, if you're looking for an entry-level position, if you're willing to take like one of the like junior dev roles at an organization, then it doesn't matter if it matches your tech stack. But if you want to go for anything else, I would try to match that. So okay. Anyway, I want to spam a couple of links into the chat, so I'm going to toss links to our Discord, which you should check out if you are interested in continuing to chat with the rest of the DevChatter community. Our Discord is a really friendly place, and so obviously if you are going to be friendly, then welcome. Join our Discord, join the conversation with us. Discord, if you don't know, is a chat application that's commonly used by gamers and Twitch streamers. And it's also used for like various project work and things like that. It's a nice place for us to chat as a group. We also have links to GitHub, YouTube, and Twitter. You'll find archives of all of our videos going back 2.5 years over on our YouTube channel, as well as recent stuff in the video section here on Twitch. You are welcome. I'm glad you all enjoyed the conversations that we've had today. Whoops, meant to do that. Something that I have pointed out to everyone here is that our stream is coming back more regularly now. So for the past about a year, I've been doing only Saturday streams, but we're going to start doing our streams throughout the week now. Thank you for that follow, Michael. Glad you've enjoyed the stream. And if anyone else hasn't clicked the follow button yet, be sure to do so, as that's the best way to get notified when we go live. Speaking of when we go live, we're switching back to our old schedule, which is going to be Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. I will tell you that those are the scheduled streams, but knowing how my schedule usually works, I think it is likely that I will do 3 of those a week is probably normal. So expect one of them in any given week to not happen. But you won't know which one. So the way that you find out which one is you join our Discord, because I usually tell Discord before the stream happens that it's not going to happen. And if you want to get notified just whenever they happen, make sure you're following the channel and have notifications turned on. That being said, if you don't want the notifications, you can follow the channel and turn notifications off. That way, when you go to Twitch, you can just see whether or not we're live, because we'll be in the list. I want to make sure that I thank everybody for hanging out today. I really enjoyed this discussion. It was actually quite a bit of fun, and we got some good coding done as well. I'm going to make sure that I roll our credits. Don't take off just yet, everyone, because I do want to do some other stuff. I want to make sure that I thank our moderators, Greendolf, Mr. Shoji, and Stoolpenner. Thank you very much for helping out with the chat today and keeping things moving. I want to make sure that I thank all these wonderful people who followed the stream today. So if you are one of those people that clicked that follow button, thank you. I hope that we will see you on our next stream as well. It is always fun having conversations like this with all of you and getting some good code done as well. And to Greendolf, Nate, and BDD, thank you very much for those subs to the channel. Hopefully all of you enjoy all the Chatosaurus emotes and your sub badges while you're here on the channel or on Twitch. So thank you, everyone. If you joined in our conversation, thank you. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it, and all of our chat about all kinds of stuff. And we will be here on Monday for some more programming, probably Interactive 7 on that one, though that will not be the only thing we work on all week, so expect some other code as well. We'll probably do some C# and JavaScript in the week as well. Before we jump in too far, let me see if there is a good place for us to raid. Oh yes, there's a good choice for a raid today. I know exactly where we're going, so do not go anywhere, everyone. what I'm going to, please stick around and join us on this raid as we go to another channel where there'll be cool stuff going on. At the end of the stream, I'm going to switch us over to the outro screen, and then we will be raiding over. So join us for that. It'll be a lot of fun. Clicky the button. Clicky this button. I agree. We all need to grow and become better developers and help the community. So thank you everyone for hanging out today. This was a fantastic and fun stream, and I will see you next time. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I will see you on Monday. Happy coding, everyone. Take care.